Everyone, this is Shayna Hiller from Build Your Personal Yoga Business. And today I would love to talk about what to do when either you raise your rates for yoga or whatever you're offering and you think that they're too high, or what to do when someone actually tells you your rate is too high. I used to be the person who, first of all, I used to do all my yoga for free. I couldn't even imagine charging money for it. And then once I started charging money, if people said that they couldn't afford my services, I would very quickly, without even thinking, just discount it. I thought that was me being really nice and doing the right thing. And then what I noticed over time is it was very default for me to discount my services, that I felt like I now had to get more clients in order to make enough money. And for each of those clients, I actually couldn't serve from a place of feeling like I had enough space. So I'm going to just drop that in there, that the more you honor your price and the more that you are realistic about what you're charging in terms of supporting not only your own personal financial needs, but literally buying yourself the time, the space to spend doing what you're doing with your clients. So if you're teaching yoga to in a one-on-one fashion, if you're teaching in studios, right, are you really able to show up fully? Or are you spreading yourself thin in order to continue to collect smaller chunks of income along the way? So deep breath in and deep breath out. This can be a loaded topic, especially as a yoga teacher. And I know for myself, it was a real big brain reprogramming and upgrade to be able to, first of all, charge money in general, to be able to communicate my price and my rate without feeling ashamed, without feeling apologetic for it, and to really stand in my truth and remember the value, to remember the incredible value that comes with owning our price, because ultimately money is a sacred energy currency exchange. And if you do desire to thrive as a yoga teacher, it's important that you are standing in your power when it comes to this. Okay, so first and foremost, if somebody tells you that your prices are too high, let's imagine that, right? You want to teach a private yoga class, or you're going to teach a retreat. Someone's hiring you to teach a retreat. Here's my rate. Here's my hourly rate. Here's how much I desire for a yoga class, whether it's a group class or not, a workshop or retreat or not. You have this number in you. This is a very personal thing. Someone tells you it's too high, right? Before you go into discount mode, because I do not believe that discount mode should be the default. I think that the energy of discounting is really technically that. We're discounting our own value to some extent without really getting to the root of why someone would even be requesting the discount in the first place, or requesting or saying or imagining that the price is too high. So there may be an issue deeper down as to, well, why is that person thinking it's too high of a rate? So we've got to release at least a little bit of the taboo and fear around talking about money. Is there a way to make this conversation a little bit more lighthearted, right? So that it's not this assumption or expectation or really intense energy that it absolutely can be. So that's the first and foremost invitation. The second is to really get curious, right? To really get curious about, well, why? Why does your potential student or client feel this way? Don't be shy to ask the questions. How much were you planning on spending? What is your budget like? Right? So really getting curious about where your student or your client or whoever it is, your employer, is coming from and why they may not be accepting your rate. Because there may be a money block on the other end, that once this person understands the value of what you have to offer, not just as a product, not just as a class, but how this product or class or offering or service can actually profoundly impact their life in numerous ways. So that's something really important when you're raising your rates, because guess what? Let's face it, everything increases in price on a yearly basis. If you have a desire to sustain your needs on this planet and live not only abundantly for yourself, but again, have the grounding and the resources to serve your clients and your students the best way that you possibly can, it's important that your prices work, and they will increase on a yearly basis. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's the first time you're hearing that. And what amount? Well, that's also very personal. So the point is that things do increase over time, and the value of which you are dispensing must be communicated, right? For example, hey everyone, I'm teaching yoga. I'm teaching private yoga, right? Come and we'll do an hour of yoga together and you'll stretch and you'll get a little break from your day. Versus, hey, so and so, knowing exactly who you're speaking to, knowing exactly who you want to be serving, how would you like to step out of your day and invite some new energy in, take a break, restore your connection to your body? What would this person be able to gain off the mat, right? Outside of this private session, right? You can improve metabolism, increase circulation, release of anxiety, more mental clarity, right? A feeling of creativity. Again, it really depends on who you're talking to. Sharing about your own personal journey with yoga is another way to be to communicate the value. How can a yoga class help someone off the mat in their life? Again, who is your yoga for? This is really important when I don't want to say the word justifying, but when naming your price, because it's not just an hour of yoga. It's not just an hour of yoga, right? It's like having a piece of food. People ask me all the time, like, oh my gosh, you must spend a lot of money on all that organic food. It's like, yeah, because it's not just the bite that I eat, it goes into my body and it digests and it becomes who I am. It becomes my energy field. So, in a similar fashion, you want to be able to communicate what happens after your student or your client digests the food, whether the food is a retreat or a class with you or an online course that you're producing, whatever it may be. But really, what is that end goal? Because that's ultimately what propels us to invest in something that's really good for us. And your potential students and prospective students and clients may not actually know what they're in for. So they may have a different idea of what an appropriate price is. Now, what if legit, for real, your students or your clients cannot pay your rate? Are you going to say, no, this is my rate. I am standing in my power and I am not going to budge? Well, that's not very flexible. And we're yogis, right? So again, this is very personal. I cannot tell you exactly what to do and how to do it, but I will say that having a sliding scale is definitely an option depending on what works for your schedule, depending on what your desires are, right? It does not have to be so rigid. You are a human being and it's okay if you charge a little different rate for different people, especially those who have difficulty affording your price, right? I just don't want you to feel like, oh gosh, if one person can't afford my price, let me lower my price. This, in my opinion, from what I've seen, also kind of exacerbates feelings lack of self-worth, right? It's like, oh, it's too much. I'm too much, right? We don't want to get into that vibe whatsoever. So of course, when people have difficulty, if it's okay with you, you can absolutely offer a sliding scale. If that really isn't an option, or if you don't have enough energy to give your full attention, again, this depends on what you're offering. Is it in-person yoga? Is it one-on-one? Is it coaching? Whatever it is. If that lower rate or your old rate or a discounted rate really doesn't ground you enough to be able to serve that person, and you know that you're going to end up feeling resentful, I've been there, I get it, I know, that's a signal, then you can perhaps come up with something else. For example, an alternative. What is maybe for example, instead of teaching a private class, you can send that person a video recording of a yoga class that you taught on Zoom, right? So you can offer alternatives instead of what they're asking for if your potential student or client can't afford your actual rates, right? And trust that just as the dead leaves fall off of the tree each season to make way for new growth, the same happens, that exact same transition happens when you are growing your yoga business, when you're stepping up your game and you're adding more to your offerings and you're choosing really the path that you want to take. So sometimes old clients, they kind of just I will give them to other yoga teachers, maybe newer yoga teachers who are looking to teach more private yoga, whatever it may be, or alternatives. But know that it's okay for some of the dead leaves to fall, and there may be a gap of time, of space, where, oh my goodness, The past is no longer, but the future is not yet. Trust. This is actually the time and space to go inside of yourself and do your own meditation and trust who and what you're stepping into. Working with affirmations is a wonderful way to reprogram your brain from that fear and lack mentality into a more abundant future self brain pattern. So that's something that I teach in all my courses is affirmations and the reprogramming and rewiring of the neurological functions. So food for thought, literally. One more, just before I forget, is you can also offer payment plans. This is very like obvious, but I kind of wanted to just sneak in that little technical piece here is, if people have trouble paying all at once, maybe for, again, this really depends on what you're offering, you can maybe offer smaller chunks. That's a more, pragmatic way of still being able to charge your rate and just make it easier for your potential customer. But just trust your value, really trust what you're putting out into the world. The more confident you are about what you're doing, and of course you can research, rates of what people are charging for similar products, but ultimately your number is something unique, specific, depending on your confidence level, how long you've been teaching, what the value is in what you're offering, and really how much you believe in what you're offering. So stay strong, keep believing, keep trusting the path that you're on. I look so forward to continuing to support you. If there are any topics that you would like for me to talk about regarding building your personal yoga business, your wellness business, finding your voice, developing the confidence, and really co-creating an amazing, amazing life for yourself and contributing to the upliftment and evolution of the collective. Wow. What a time to be doing this work. So thank you. Thank you so much. And feel free to, again, ask me any questions, suggest any topics. And underneath here, there are some amazing resources for you if you are a yoga teacher who is on the path of waking up the world and yourself. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.